Hey everybody, I'm Lex.
I'm Jordan at PDQ.com.
Today is kind of a continuation from last week. We showed you how to do some PowerShell Scanner so you could do monitoring of your systems. Thoughts on this, Jordan?
Oh yeah, so last week we kind of built the baseline of how we can start with monitoring, but it only had existing per scan. So we decided to go through and we added...
Well, the nice thing is you guys all brought us some... we asked, what else do you want to see? And so you guys said you wanted to see ports, open ports, and...
Logon events.
Logon events, and we decided to go after some specific processes. So we're going to... go ahead.
Yeah, so we built out some existing features and we made it so we can keep... it's not a fantastic history, but keep a history so you can kind of see...
Trends, yeah.
Yeah, the trends.
And that was kind of definitely a challenge. A challenge because every time you run a scan in inventory, it replaces the data that was there before. So we had to figure out a place to put data so that we could read it in later. So we will take you through all that. Where do you want to start, Jordan?
Well, first we'll take a quick look at what it looks like.
Okay.
This is the history one where we have the last 4 scans. You can see it's not dependent on time frame. It's you can keep an X number of scans. You can define that. We'll go over that in just a bit. And then, so we don't break the reporting for people that use, if they're using last ones and they want to see all the same collections and everything, we have an individual scan. That this one is just the latest.
The current. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So we don't break what we did last week. Excellent.
All right. The other change is before we had the one variable of where you could define what services you want to go to. Mm-hmm. And now we went through and there's quite a few more variables. We figured we get good time to go over those. So we still have the services one. Mm-hmm. Processes and ports is it's the exact same thing. It's the processes or the ports you want to check.
Okay.
History is how many rows you want to keep.
So that's how many scans you want to keep?
Yep.
History on. Okay.
Yeah, so it is going to grow your database a lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do some quick math here. Let's say, now I wouldn't suggest you run this on 1,000 machines. I'd run it against your servers, but say you've got 1,000 servers and you're keeping, obviously, 5 lines of history. That's 5,000 rows. So, keep track of this because it will grow your database quickly.
Yeah, so the nice thing is if you set it to, say, 20, you want a real long history, but it's just too much. Mm-hmm. If you change this number down to 10, it will cut off the last 10 next time it runs, and it will shorten your database that way.
Oh, excellent. So it's easy remediation there.
You may want to, after the next scan, maybe do an optimized database to remove the extra rows. That might help
clean out that space,
clean up a bit.
Okay.
All right, and another one is file. This is where we're storing the history before we're sending it into our system. And the last one is time frame. The event time frame. This one is for logon user. I don't want to go every logon user within whatever. I want to check login events since the last scan. So
wait, dude, so you got 360 there. Wouldn't you say like maybe an hour?
So if you're scanning every hour, you would want to set that to an hour.
Okay.
I did 6 hours because we don't log into our lab a lot, and I wasn't getting results.
Oh, so we want something to see is what you're saying.
Yeah, so this one is just, that one's specifically for me. I think it defaults to 15 if you're scanning every 15 minutes, but if you want to change it, it's just the same as we change all the other scans. We'll open that one up so we can take a look at the attributes.
The interesting thing, we added this to this because, once you're scanning already, you might as well just grab the additional history data because that's the extras, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So right here, I'm using the defaults for all the other data, so I have the services, processes, and ports specified where it's grabbing those variables and pulling that information in.
Okay.
If I wanted to add, like the history, I don't know if it's case sensitive. We'll find out together. Then we can come in here and just select history, and then that will pass through that number as well.
Okay, the history number.
Yeah. So the example we have in bonus content, I'm only including those first 3 because those ones are mandatory. The other ones, they have a default value, and it's just if you want to change that, you want to then pass through the parameter.
I like the default.
Yep.
You just changed it.
I hit cancel, didn't I?
No, did you?
Yeah, well,
let's verify.
Let's find out.
I swear every time. Yep, you did hit cancel.
All right.
All right.
All right, so now I guess we'll just go into the PowerShell of what changed. The first thing is the command line binding the parameters. Before we had the one, this is just everything that we're passing through that we showed. The script now has the parameter to accept that when you send it through. You can see the time frame is 15 minutes. All this is static for now. If you want to change it, instead of having to change the script, you can just pass through and have the variable make it easier to change for you.
Excellent.
And then the last stuff is the same. We'll just kind of go down. The processes one, that people want individual processes. Mm-hmm. This one was a little bit interesting.
Okay.
Because when I went and grabbed a process, I don't really care what the name is.
Well, you got to use the name to find it, right?
We're using the name to find it, but then on the result, I don't care. The name doesn't really do me a lot of good. I'm looking for a process ID.
ID, yeah.
But if I didn't find it, I was just specifying it as process isn't running.
Okay.
Which is nice, but then we're passing through a string in one case, integer in the other case, and that wasn't working for me.
Yeah, databases don't like that so much.
Yeah, so now if the process isn't running, it's just going to set the value to 0. So we can still pass through as an integer, but it's something you can search for.
Okay, cool.
All right, and so keep on scrolling down. I just put that one up top because it made sense to me there, and then everything else. For the logon events, it's the same thing.
Okay,
right?
Once again, with the logon events, you want to check a time frame, right? That was the whole purpose of that, so you don't have like parsing the entire log.
Yep. So yeah, instead of checking everything, like if you're scanning every hour, set it to 60 because it's minutes.
Okay.
I don't think I documented that anywhere, but it is minutes. And then it's only going to scan check within the last scan. So you're not grabbing everything, and then say Quintana signed in 4 or 5 times within that hour. It's only going to grab the last event because I don't care how many times. I just care who has logged in. Just the fact that
they logged in. Okay.
And it's looking for local or remote, which is defined as a 2 or a 10.
Okay.
A lot of for the login events was just from our PowerShell Scanner.
Okay.
Colby wrote this one. It works fantastic. It does a lot of that removing. And then it ignores service accounts, so it's only non-service accounts that are logging in within that time.
How did you get it to ignore the service accounts?
Not match, and then a regex query that I did not write.
Oh, very nice. Well, it worked well.
It works fantastic. I tested it.
Okay. I'm glad it ignores service accounts, yeah.
Yeah, because then it would be a little bit crowded. I'll be honest, this one is not my favorite.
Okay.
Just because everything else what's in there is actionable, where in this one you have who logged in, how they logged in, remote or local, and then the time they logged in. Yeah. And because the number of people logged in is constantly going to be fluctuating and changing, I can't really create a column for each one of those. It's just going to mess with your tables and mess everything up. So I'm capturing everything. If there's multiple people that have logged in, it'll put it all in one row, but it has, in that case, in one thing, the name, how they logged in, and the time, and it's not really actionable. Mm-hmm. So it's more of an informational in there, but it's not my favorite way to do this.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I mean, this is a good example, though, of if I wanted to go find different events in the event log to go after those.
Yeah, so we specify up here on line 74, the instance ID.
Okay.
That's a login event. If there's a different ID you want to look for, you just put it in there.
Oh, okay. So this one you guys can change to look for the events you want.
There'll be some complications because the login type is defined by 2 and 10.
That's a good point. Okay.
So you'd want to remove this entire if statement as well at that point.
You probably want to, run it, find out what kind of data you get returned from
so the get name you want to keep, but with internal stuff is probably going to require some work if you're going to change the event.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, and then the last one is just ports. We're creating a new object on the local host for the ports we're listing.
Okay.
If it can open the port, it'll let you know that it's open. If it can't, it'll let you know it's closed. That's it. It's just open and closed. So it's coming back as a string in that one, but it's either or. I could have done true false, but I didn't.
Shame on you. Oh, okay. That works.
All right. And then now we're here to find where I made a mistake in my own script that we found like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I hard-coded the path where it's looking for. If we're going to be building the CSV file, the path has to be built beforehand, and then it can build the CSV. So if the path doesn't exist, it's going to give you an error. I hard-coded ctemp, which is a mistake. I need to go through and fix that. I'll get that. What it should do is it should take the path that you specified up top in that variable, break out everything but the CSV name at the end of the end, and use that as the
path. Okay.
Yeah, so I will fix that. So instead of testing for a static one, which I don't know why I didn't see that until now, that should be dynamic to whatever you set for. I'll make that change. And then if the file exists, it appends the data that you have. If not, it just builds a new file. And then we import it back in with only containing the last 5 or, as you can see, $ history, however many you list.
Okay.
The last issue we ran into that one, imported in CSV, all of our data types are broken.
Oh, yeah, so this comes back as a string.
Everything comes back as a string.
Yeah.
You can do metadata.
Metadata?
Yeah.
Metadata. You want to mate some data there, and we'll have little data
into the CSV where it will maintain those when you import it back in. I just did a conversion since it's coming back as a custom object that's not real readable anyway.
Okay.
I'm converting it back to a hash table and setting the data types as we're doing the conversion.
Now, PDQ Inventory prefers hash tables.
Well, it likes the custom object, but grabbing the data into a hash table makes the most sense in this case. And then at the end, the bottom here, we cast that to a PS custom object.
Okay.
The imported CSV doesn't read quite right as a custom object, which is why I'm converting it and then casting it back. And then that's what you give your history there.
Okay.
So if we go to the one that's not a history, it's the same thing. It's just we're missing where it keeps the history and the location because it doesn't care about those. Everything else is the exact same.
Now, the reason we're running it twice, one, so that we can have an actionable single line and then history. Is it a good time for us to take a question, you think?
Sure.
All right. Hey, guys, would there be a way of using PowerShell to compare computer names? I have two lists, one PDQ AD list and an asset register. Would love to use PDQ to see what's not in AD. Sincerely, P. Iden, which I think is code for P. Diddy.
It could be. So, PowerShell can compare any two lists. You just need to make sure that both your lists have a header, and you have to specify the header type. So if the header title is the same, you don't got to worry about it.
Okay.
If the headers are different, you have to basically say, I'm comparing this header to this header, and then it will go down that column. And then you can do...
Okay, when it does that comparison, does it also, if the lines don't match, or is it just looking for computer this anywhere in this one?
So they name it different, but it's similar to what you can do with SQL, where you can do a left join or inner join, where it will grab all of them that are the same, or it will grab only ones that are unique to one list, and you can split that out into a different variable and run from that one. So the hardest part for that one is just if they don't have the same title for the header, you just need to go through and make sure it points to. You're going to put in a PowerShell, it's going to be as in a variable or whatever, or an array. So we'll just say $A, $B. It's going to be $A dot header title, and then you're comparing to $B dot header title. That way you can specify different header titles and still get the comparison.
Wow. Right off the top of your head and everything, huh?
I do PowerShell a lot.
Yes, you do. Do we want to do another one, or should we keep rolling?
We can do another if you want.
Let's do another.
Dear Lex and Dear Jordan, is there a way to report machines and some details about them, such as serial that are/when they are removed from inventory by the AD sync process? Thanks, Craig M.
Okay, so typically if you do a full AD sync, right, you delete it out of Active Directory, it is going to, on the next sync, remove it from inventory. There is no trigger to indicate that that's being done.
Yeah,
the only thing I could think you might be able to do, and this is kind of an out there one, if you had a database that was restored and you could do a SQL comparison on the two different databases, but there's nothing native for that. So, all right.
The last thing before we kick this one off, as we showed this is the normal one with no history, and then we have the history. As Colby put in the chat last week, and I didn't get around to pointing it out, we said the columns get messed up. You can actually come in and click on Customize this grid. You can correct the columns here, and it will maintain that order what you set.
Okay.
The problem with the history one now is I don't have the logic in there because I ran out of time to where it will check columns for columns and it will add new columns into it.
Okay, so basically if I go in and add another port, like port 22 in my variable,
it's probably going to have an issue. So what you have to do is you have to remove the CSV that's there. You lose the history, and then rebuild it the next time, and it'll build back out. It's not ideal, but it's logic I have to add on importing that CSV. But
just something to be aware of in the event you guys do that, okay?
And
you did build a tool. Don't run it.
I'm running it.
Oh, you're going to run it? How about we show it to him before we run it? Go to custom.
Fine. You want me to actually customize the tools?
Yeah, there we go.
So this one, and this is another thing that I did wrong. I hard-coded the path where we can delete that and replace that with the variable for the file. And that will be, so this just remove item, goes through and finds that file, and force deletes it.
So when we change things, we just highlighted all the machines, ran the scan again, and ran this tool against it, cleaned it up, and
delete the history. So next time you run the scan with your changes, it'll add all the new columns, it will import, you won't have any issues.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
There absolutely are ways with the logic on adding new columns. It's not.
For everything we added and everything we did since last week, that was kind of a big ask.
Yeah, it's not something I had on top of my head, and I ran out of time because I spent way more time on the next week's prep.
Yeah, okay. All right, so are we going to do this? We're going to run this?
Let's give it a go.
All right, now, a couple of things while this is running. First thing we noticed, okay, when we added this additional scan and we added the ports and this processes and the logon events, the scan started taking longer, guys. It just did.
Yeah, we added 3 new things we're scanning for, as well as the
history.
Original scan. Yeah, the history. So it's scanning twice now, and a scanning for more, it does take a lot longer. So if you want everything, you're probably not going to be able to grab it as often. If you want very specific things, you could probably fine tune it and get it going really quick. It all just depends on how much you want to grab versus how often you want to scan.
Good point, good point. Let me also, why don't you go pop up the scanner so we can show them how to minimize the scan. So if you go up here and you go to collections, you could actually go select your server collection and run this just against your servers if you wanted. A little further down, okay?
Yeah, there we are.
You could do that. I would highly suggest it. Again, if you start running this against hundreds and hundreds of machines, you're going to notice some, not necessarily performance. Your database is going to grow, and the scans just do take time. So
the amount of data it sends doesn't change. It's still the 310 kilobytes a second per node it's sending out to.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take a little bit longer on that one to complete, which is why you have to extend out how long it runs.
Good point, good point. All right, well, now that I've clicked on a bunch of stuff I didn't want to, is our scan done running? Oh, still running.
Yep, so it is a little bit slow. You can check Bugs Bunny, though. It should have a fifth row now.
Should we check bugs for a fifth row? All right, there's the no history. So this is current VMware tools is stopped. That's that service I want to make sure is running, right? Just kind of roll through here. Notepad's running on there. PowerShell. I'm just pointing these out because, guys, I'm going to show you how to auto-remediate this stuff. Okay, fine. Let's go find the history because we should have, boom, the fifth row. There it is. There it is. Anything you want to add before we start talking about remediation?
I think we're good to go.
Okay. The other thing that's nice about this history is I can actually go see, you'll notice right here my CPU utilization kind of jumped up here around 9 o'clock today. Were we running anything on there, like videos or something like that?
Must have been.
But you can see, normally it sits, just eyeballing this, right, it sits at a pretty low rate. So, anyway.
We actually have a question that may be relevant to something that's coming up.
Well, do we want to hit it now? Or do
let's go ahead and hit this.
Okay.
Guys, can we set up a scan that will email the admins when a server is no longer online? Sincerely, Chaloha.
All right, can you run a scanner to do that? I think that's going to be, so basically, if you take a look, if the machine's offline, I can't scan it, first of all, right? So can we build something that says if something was in an online state and goes to an offline state to send an email?
Yeah. So
how would you do that? Would it be
there's
periodic
a
or
couple
trigger?
options on this one. The hardest part is the credentials.
Okay.
You have to do with that one because we have a scan after for something like running reports, but if you're looking for an individual event, you can't really use the email reporting with ours, so you have to use your own email, which means you have to create the credential object, which involves, I did mine, there's a couple, I have a whole blog out there, blog and webcast about creating credential objects, but as long as you have the username, or in this case the email address, and the password you're using, and how the password is encrypted is up to you. If you just do normal on your machine, it'll be encrypted to that machine for that login account. If you need to use it in other places, you want to specify a key file, and then you can import both the key file and that password.
Okay. I just thought of a way we could actually make this happen, right? You've got the PowerShell to do the email. All I'm going to go look for is whether a machine's online or offline, right? Online, there we go. We'll say false, right? And then we could limit it to just servers, right?
Yeah, limit to the servers.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure everything's running except, 8 machines here.
Yep. So if you go to deploy, this is actually a good jump into the start service.
Okay. Do we want to actually jump into that right now?
Well, we'll go down to the bottom part, the PowerShell.
Okay.
We'll go over the email part.
Okay, we get past babies, first PowerShell.
All right, this is what we have right there is you can basically build a PowerShell scanner or a deploy package that go against that collection that run within an interval. Any machine in there, you can add them in there and pass it through. And then right here we have the password file, key file that I was mentioning, the mail from, and obviously admin.email is not a real one. So you're going to want the real email you're sending from, and then next line you're building your credential object, and then scroll down a bit more. And then right here is you're building the custom object, the email object, where you specify and port the SMTP server, and then scroll down to the bottom, and then just send mail message with @ for the email for the custom object you built, and that will send the email out.
Very nice.
Yep.
Well, let's just talk about, since we're here, let's talk about starting services. So this is a start the VMware Tools service. We figured it was a nice, easy one since we got a bunch of VM machines. I could go shut a bunch of them down. So all I did with Baby's first PowerShell is, well, that's the spooler, dude. That's not VMware.
Well, then change it.
Oh. All right, so VM Tools. There we go. Basically, I'm naming the service that I want to start, right? It's going to go through there, check if it's running. If it is, it's going to mark it as running and be done. It will make 3 attempts to start that. If it doesn't work, then it will, in this case, send a ticket to our help desk account or an admin or so on and so forth. So to make this work, all I'm going to do is definitely save that. I'm going to go build the, did I have the VMware tools? Let's get rid of my new collection there. Let's build one for anything that has VMware tools that are not running. So again, you could limit this just to the machines we expect this from, but we'll call this VM tools. Man. Whew.
That was a rough one.
Yeah, I thought I was the one that was drinking.
Off. There we go. So at this point, we're going to go look in our no history table, okay? And we're going to go look for our VM tools service, okay? And it would contain stopped at this point.
I believe so. We could open up the table and look at it, but it should be.
It should be stopped. All right, so right now, my ACD is not going OCD. ACD. Hey, you know, it's the school of thumb, guys. The school of thumb from last week. I'm going to use that today.
Dirty collections done dirt cheap.
That's right, dirty collections. So we got 4 machines that the VMware Tools is off, okay? Again, all we have to do in deploy, now our scan runs how often? We'll say every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes?
Around there. So for this one, for 58 devices, 32 concurrent connections, this one might work within 15 minutes with all the new additions. If you want to be more aggressive, you could up your concurrent connections or how often you scan.
So we'll just go in here on an interval and we'll say we'll run it once an hour and we'll start it, I don't know, 10 minutes after the hour, right? Yep. So we kind of offset, right? Our targets in this case, again, would be our super cool new collection that I called VM Tools Off. Our package, I probably should name that too. There it is, VM Tools Off, okay? Give that an okay. Package, again, is start the service. Options. This you need to take off there because this needs to run every time against any machine that's in there. So make sure you take off.
No machines will go out there and stop anyway, so you don't have to worry so much about that.
That's true. That's true. Probably should name this right. We'll call this Start VM Tools. Wow, I am.
You talked me into more scotch.
Did I talk you into it? All right. So at this point, right, that's it. I'm going to kick this off, and then we are going to go hopefully watch that start all those services.
Yep. We did comment out the email section of that because the credential we had in there is
won't do anything at this point.
It's more an example. It didn't have anything to actually pull in.
Good point. Good point. I guess at this point, I could probably just on those specific machines go run that scan again, which is nice. It'll
you also could have set the scan that it kicks off after the deployment.
You're right. I should have done that. That is a better way to do this, right? So I should have gone in here and options, scanning, right? Scan after deployment, and I want to scan our monitoring. Wow. So that'd have been efficient. We'd have been done already there.
Yeah, so this one will do the history and the no history. In this case, if you built another scanner that just only had the no history, that way you're only updating that one and not messing with the retention so everything keeps on pace. That's just one thing you could do to kind of build that out.
Well, according to this, let us go see our deployments here. It finished. Supposedly successful on all those. I guess I need to now go run that scan on those to see those guys get updated. So we'll just go run that scan. Any comments on that? I mean, other than making it better than I did because we actually would have put the right scan in there.
So while that's running, what this is, it's going to try 3 times. I think we put a start sleep of 5 seconds. If the service takes longer, you can
obviously adjust that. Yeah.
But each time after it runs that, after the pause, it checks to see if the service is running. If not, after the 3rd attempt, and you can modify that any way you want. But after the third attempt, if it still has not failed or still has not been successful, that's when it would kick off the email. It will email whichever email address generates a ticket and say, basically, this server can't start this service. And that's a good way to have it to attempt to auto-remediate, and if not, have documentation of future work you have to do.
Excellent. Well, check it out. It's already, one of them's disappeared. So we're going to assume, we'll check back on that is going to work. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is we're going to pop open Bugs Bunny, right? Remote desktop connection, Bugs Bunny.
I've noticed recently,
Yeah?
Windows, after you open something,
Yeah?
the start menu doesn't go away now.
Holy crap. Oh, man. Okay.
What did you do?
I'm like the mad bomber with the mouse today.
It's because the start menu doesn't close now. When you click on something, the start menu stays open and it messes with everything.
Messes with my mind.
I hate it.
Okay, check it out. So we've got PowerShell running, and we have Notepad running. So these are the processes, the Pacific ones, not the Atlantic ones.
Okay.
The specific processes we were looking for. Again, most of the time I would generally, if I was monitoring Jordan's machine, I'd be shutting down like YouTube and Solitaire and Steam probably, right? But in this case, as an example, we are going to auto-remediate and make sure that we stop a Notepad process that's running. This one, I'm not going to schedule. We'll just pop it up so you can see how the magic works. Once again, this one is called Kill Notepad. Now, I did use a variable in this. This was that discussion of variables. So under variables in here, kill it, I did put Notepad. Okay. Now, if you wanted to hard code that in, obviously you just come in here and change that kill it to your process, right? So on and so forth. This basically goes out, sees if it's running. If it's there, it kills it.
Yep, and that's where the 0 comes in if it's not running. So if you're searching for a process you don't want, like Notepad, you can have a collection basically if it not equals 0, then you know that it is open and running. You can run it against that collection.
All right. Enough talk. Let's dance. All right, so I'm going to send this to Bugs Bunny.
We'll do it live.
Buds, Bunny, Bugs. You know, I should just stick with the mouse and stop typing, right? All right, there it is. Deploy now. I'm going to bounce over to Bugs. Should kill the process.
Might want to center that
Oh,
one.
center that? Oh, there it was.
We did kill it.
I killed it.
We killed it off center.
Yep, I did. With, was it Great Prejudice? I killed it, right? Can we say kill? That just seems really harsh.
Well, it's what you're doing.
It's not a swear word.
If you want to start renaming common IT terms, then we
Task kill.
Task.
Yeah, we have to change that.
Kill, that's good. Okay, we can do kill.
Task murder.
We're kind of running up against time. I could show you guys how we could make a process to go clean up Windows temp, or we can add that to next week. What do you guys think?
Or do we have questions?
Or should we do questions at this point? Because we're about at time.
Well, we have 3 questions. They're not horribly deep questions, probably. How much time do you need?
It's going to take me a minute because I have to type.
Oh, my.
If you have 60 seconds, and then we'll take questions.
Okay,
Isaac,
Jordan,
go
I'm going to
ahead.
hand this to you. Here we go. He'll be able to do this.
Do it. Just do it.
All right, man. We're going to build a clean out the temp process package. And basically what you would do, again, build that collection that looks for any machine that has, less than X percentage free disk space. And then you could schedule this package to go that Jordan's building right now. You could run this against it and it'll go clean up at least the temp files and see if that does anything much better. Hey, you type like I do there. C temp is...
Yeah, we'll have to go back there. I'm under the gun here.
Yeah. See, I couldn't type anyways. If you put me under the gun, we're in bad shape.
I'm used to tab completing too, and I can't do that within our editor.
See, that's my excuse. That's why I can't type. There's no tab complete.
So all we're doing is removing anything that's in temp folder recursively force. So if there's folders within it, it's going to delete it all.
Okay, why don't we just build it real quick over to inventory. Let's build that collection really quick, and then we'll run it against anybody under. Yes, save that bad boy. All right. Probably should title it though.
Is PowerShell case sensitive?
Is PowerShell case sensitive?
No, I mean it doesn't look good if it's
It's
not
an aesthetic
the proper,
thing.
Yeah.
Just curious.
It becomes baby's first PowerShell, right?
So with the / means we're going to leave the temp folder alone and delete everything within it. If you remove that asterisk, it's going to delete the temp folder itself and everything in it.
Okay. And then just a quick inventory, right?
We're handing it back to you.
Okay.
Now that I've done the typing.
Now that you've done the typing, all right. So yeah, Jake, we're messing with you, man. It's that portal thing again.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right, they told us not to do that, and too bad.
Sorry,
We
I
did it
missed the
anyways.
magic portal, guys.
They are not our supervisor.
They don't tell us what to do unless it's okay. We'll say less than 20% free, right? Because I think we got some machines like that. So we are going to go once again look in the no history. We are going to look for drive C free percentage, and we'll say is less than 20. That was quick. Wow.
200.
Did I do 200?
You had 200 and you did greater than.
Greater than or less than? Yeah, okay.
Wow. All right. Less than. So much for quick, right? There we
What's
go.
everyone's Scotch count?
My Scotch count is 1.5.
Greater or less than?
I'm on 2 generous pours.
You know what? Let's just do this. I still have the report from last week. We'll go see what the average run on that is.
So 4.
4.
So four actual scotches.
Monitoring view. Let's just run that against all computers not 20% free. I just got to get an idea of something I can go nuke, guys. So again, drive percent free. We'll go with anything less
Friendly,
than
we don't have a lot.
30%. How about, ooh, can I nuke those? We'll go after Penelope.
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 All right. So less than 30%. So forget the title. We'll just put the 30 in here. I guess I can fix the title, right? I mean, 30. See, I told you guys it's painful watching me do this. Okay, boom. Probably, well, I guess we can deploy that against that. So once again, we're going to go here.
We're showing it work, but we don't even know if there's a lot in the temp folder for these ones. We don't know what's going to clean up, but this is just kind of a first attempt at cleaning up space.
Yeah. Let's do it live. VMware tools, less than 30%, and I'm going to get rid of WSUS off this because I just don't want to mess with that. But boom, let's run it. Oh, I probably should have told it to run that monitor after again, huh?
It's too late.
Dang it.
All right, let's take a question while this is running.
There you go.
Well, okay then. Hey guys, how do you connect or display data received from a PowerShell scan to a custom field? Sincerely, Stephen D.
I wasn't listening.
All right, so
It's on the TV.
what we normally do, and there's a lot of great example of this in the PowerShell Scanner repo on PDQ. But basically, as you're collecting data, if you assign it to a variable, just make sure you have all the data stored somewhere. At the very bottom of the script, you want to do in square brackets PS custom object, and then the curly brackets, and then you can define basically the header, and then equals, and then you can specify the data that goes into there, and that will build the PS custom object. And each different header, you can specify the data type with that one.
Okay, but if you're going to put that in a custom field, I mean, once it's in the PowerShell, you can scan it there, but I'm assuming you want to display it up front or something?
I was thinking custom object.
Yeah, no, field, custom
I went
field.
straight to PowerShell.
Yeah?
I went straight to PowerShell building the custom object.
Huh.
All right, so how do we connect or display data received from a PowerShell scan to a custom field? We've done this before in a different webcast. It's quite involved.
Yeah, it's not easy.
If you go watch our automating
Packages that aren't in your package library,
package library, in there we have it where from the scan data we go through and we update the custom field. There is a CLI basically for update the custom field, so you'd have to take the data from the scan, run that with our CLI to update the custom field with that one.
Custom variable or custom field?
Custom.
I think it's variable from the
Custom
CLI.
variable, yeah.
I think you got to write into the database.
Yeah.
So check that one out, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty difficult.
I went right to PowerShell.
Yeah, you did.
I always do.
You did. All right,
One
well,
track mind.
I ran the scan, guys. Let's go at least find out our history of how much we cleaned up, right? So there is our PowerShell monitoring. Here is our history for our last run. Apparently, this is the first time this one's been run, but disk-free space.
No, because we store the history file in the temp. That's how you know it worked.
Did we nuke temp? We didn't do Windows temp. We nuked temp, didn't we?
Yep.
I was thinking of cleaning out Windows temp. Well, check it out,
it was
guys.
successful. There is no history.
Cleaned it. There is no history there anymore.
Bam.
So make sure you point to the right folder before you delete.
We're going to label this as more effective than intended.
Yep. Okay. Well, it did what it was supposed to do, just in the wrong folder.
Exactly what I told it to.
There we go. But let's try and end on some high notes. Let's answer some questions.
Okay. You're sure? That's going to be
No,
okay.
not sure at all.
2 questions left. Guys, when I run a deployment against a collection, in subsequent deployments, it doesn't seem to reload the dynamic collection. It seems to keep running against the same PCs. What am I doing wrong? Sincerely, Eric.
First thing, oh, go ahead.
My guess is we kind of stumbled on this a couple of times with this example is you want a scanner that's going to check, they'll scan after, they'll make sure what is changing that you want to change has changed.
Yep.
Have that run after the deployment, then when that scan completes, it should move out of there.
Okay. And this can be at the package level, so I can tell each package to run a different scanner. I've got it right here. It's under options, under properties of the package. Scan after deployment, pick the scanner you want.
If it's software removal or anything, you can just do the application scanner. It defaults to the general scan, which is so much.
That's a lot.
Going application will be a much faster scan, but if it's not add and remove an application, but you're checking for something different, you just have to build a scanner to look for the change that you're expecting.
Also, just as a school of thumb, I'm using it twice today. Go under options and preferences, and I would definitely, from your deployments right here, change your scan after from the default scan profile like we have to applications. Again,
it's just way faster.
Most of the time when I deploy stuff, install software, the hardware hasn't changed, so I really don't need the additional information. So that's where you can change it globally, and again, at the package level shows you that.
Final question?
Ooh.
Final question.
Okay.
Gentlemen, shirts are awesome. Where is the online store? Jorlando D.
I have an answer for this one.
Hit it, JJ.
We are waiting till we have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, then we can open up a store.
There we go.
Which
So
is
tell all your friends.
We're about 9,300 right now.
Yeah, we're pretty
Yep.
close.
We're
If we can
almost
get
there.
700 more subscribers,
We're going to
we will start doing shirts.
Selling them, yeah.
standard YouTube people. Hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
Wow, you did that well.
Smash that like button.
Tell your
Don't
friends.
just click. If you just
Have
click,
your friends
you'll be
tell.
upset.
Remember to hit the bell and the dingy ding thing so you get all our new videos.
But yes, do that.
Definitely do that,
Yeah,
guys.
do that for reals.
Really
we're
do
cracking
all
jokes,
this.
but yeah, by all means, do it.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up, guys.
All right. So, despite the fact that we nuked the wrong folder,
I
it
did
did work.
exactly what I wanted to.
You did.
You
and
said temp. You didn't specify past that.
Okay. Good point. Good point. But again, we built off last week, so please watch last week's. We have put the PowerShell scanners up in bonus content from last week and this week.
Yep.
So grab those, guys.
This one's quick and dirty. Like there's not a lot of customization. It grabs the default. Next week it's going to be far more complex, but way more customizable. So I would definitely next week is going to be awesome.
It's going to be visually sexy too. I mean, kind of like Jordan and me in the dark, I guess, huh?
Speaking of the dark, let's go there.
All right, guys. I'm Lex.
I'm Jordan, PQ.com.
Catch y'all later.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Craig M. and Chaloha. Winners of PDQ swag, send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.